Hello and welcome to the Krystal Archive Podcast, episode number 34. I'm your host, Mr. Krystal, and this podcast is being recorded live via YouTube, recorded on December 7th, 2014, Sunday evening at 7 p.m. I hope you all enjoy. The chat room is open and available, and hopefully, as some of you come in, we'll be able to have a discussion, and you can bring up your questions that I will address towards the end of the podcast. For now, I've got quite a bit of old news and new news to go over with you, especially stuff in preparation for some upcoming events I'm really excited about. So with that, let's talk about since last time. Now, episode number 33 came out September 27th, so it's been a little over 2 months. I'm trying to get into this more regular podcast schedule, and it looks like about every 2 months seems to be a reasonable amount of time to expect between episodes. So I hope to keep that going, but this is probably going to be the last podcast of the year. All right, so let's begin with the old news, things that have happened since the last episode of the podcast. So, first of all, shortly after the podcast went live, I did something I said I would do on the podcast, which is that I would create a Krystal Archive Twitter feed. Now that Twitter feed is mirroring all the content that I post. Every time I make a new post, it puts the title out there, some description of what I was, what I type in the content, and a link to the post. Because some people prefer to get their news through Twitter rather through the RSS feed that we're already providing. There was an interesting story with that I went over last time. And that is that someone at some point in the past actually took over the Krystal Archive name on Twitter. I don't know who it is. They did something really weird. They actually went and found my real name, my real life picture, where I had posted elsewhere on the internet, and they began posting as me. In fact, they did such a good job that at first I thought it was me who created the account and just simply had forgotten about it. But I was able to determine shortly after that, after trying tons of different passwords and email addresses, that I had not created that account, and so I got it suspended. As a result, the Krystal Archive Twitter name is not available, and so I had to settle for something else. And what I came to was Blue Vixen News as a mirror for the site. Now, I plan to do the same sort of thing, mirroring the content from the site. Also to Facebook and Google+, because I know some of you get your news through there as well. And hopefully I'll have it set up so that every time I post, it will automatically just post that content right on to the other sites. There are plugins for that. I just haven't set them up, but I'm looking into that. Now, for the rest of the news, for stuff related to Star Fox and Krystal and Smash Brothers, I'm going to talk about them not in chronological order, but rather a subject order. So I'm going to talk about all the updates we had to Star Fox Event Horizon first. Now, Star Fox Event Horizon is a fan game made by Undying Nephilim, who is actively working on it and 5 other games, I think. These fan games are really impressive. He's already released a couple games, and so I had a lot of confidence in his ability to produce this. Star Fox Event Horizon is going to be a open sky type flight combat game. So it's R-Wings, it's Andross's cruisers, and you're fighting with all the little ships. With laser battles in space. But unlike Star Fox games of the past, it's not an on-rails shooter or the all-range mode. You can literally go in any direction at any time and turn on a dime and do all kinds of crazy stuff. He's got tons of characters, and that brings me to his first update, which is that he is going to make James McCloud, Fox's father, and Randorn, the unused character from Dinosaur Planet, playable characters in the game. They're going to be playable characters. Randorn in particular has a very strange ship. It's kind of like a sphere surrounded by rings that are spinning around the central hub. And check out, there's a video for that. It's really good. He also gave me an exclusive on the Krystal Archive to show off 2 new alternate costumes for Krystal. He made one for Krystal with her assault jumpsuit, and he also made one that's based on the fan-based Armada style, which I'm going to call for our case, for our needs, the Recon flight suit. And it's kind of like a flight jacket, kind of like a Star Fox 64 style outfit, but adjusted for Krystal's shape and size. And lastly, on his updates, at least updates that I got to post about, was that Undying Nephilim is looking for some voice actors for several characters, and he showed off a initial mission that's going to basically recount the beginning of the war between the Lilac system and Andross, where Pigma Dengard betrays Peppy and James McCloud. Anyway, Undying Nephilim is looking for the following characters, and I'm not sure if he has since then gotten them, but he's looking for someone to play as Pigma, James, Peppy, Andross, and General Pepper. He wanted to make note that while he appreciates your enthusiasm, for those of you who have more of a teenage-style voice rather than an adult male voice, if you can't do an adult male voice, you're going to have a hard time convincing him. He's looking for actual adult male voices. And lastly, I posted a really, really long speed paint of Warpaint Krystal. Now, this is another alternate costume for Krystal that I have dubbed Warpaint Krystal because she's got these Warpaint markings on her eyes. Undying Nephilim got it commissioned, a digital painting of this character, and it looks really great, but it's a really, really long speed paint. I think it's like 30 minutes long, but you get to see a lot of detail as he's building up the art piece, the painting from the original sketch. So with that, let's go on to Smash Brothers updates. So we got to see for the first time a new Star Fox stage for Super Smash Brothers Brawl, Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U. Tongue twister. Now, the 3DS version of the game does not include any new Star Fox stages, but the Wii U version does. The Orbital Gate from Star Fox Assault. As you fly through with the R-Wings, you jump from the Great Fox onto an R-Wing onto a missile that is about to impact the station, and then that explodes thanks to the efforts of the Star Fox team. And you have to jump back off onto R-Wings, and then you fly through the gate, jump on another missile, and then jump back on the R-Wings, and finally you land back where you started, atop the Great Fox. There was a video posted of all the trophies from Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS, and it showed off the Krystal trophy, notably, and it looks like it's basically the same model as the Brawl trophy. However, she's in a different pose. Now, the next bit was really cool. They had the guy who did the announcing. He announces all the characters, all the start of battle, fanfare, do a video. And I'm going to try and imitate his voice because I can. They had a video where they were showing off all the features that the Wii U version of Smash Bros. Had that the 3DS version did not. And it was titled, The Super Smash Bros. For Wii U 50 Fact Extravaganza. Thank you. Anyway, among the many, many amazing features that he revealed, he most notably revealed that Mewtwo is coming as a DLC, downloadable character. And it will be later on after the launch of the game. But the important thing for us is that this opens the door for DLC characters. So even though we know it's going to take a really, really long time, they say it takes almost a year for each character to balance them appropriately. it takes a really long time, but at least that door is open. Now we know that they can do DLC, and so who knows? In the future, that may be something that comes down the pipe. I hope so. Now, I'm going to look over here to my left, and I'm seeing that several people have joined the chat. I have a separate computer for monitoring the stream, and so that's where the chat is over there. So I haven't actually been watching the chat, but I have seen that you guys have joined, so thank you for that. I'll be reviewing that towards the end. But please, as you're watching, please prepare your questions, and there will be a time at the end of the show. Well, I'll ask for questions and discussion topics, and we can continue that on after the show if you like. Okay? So let me move on to the next bit. All right. So a few weeks later, as the news media were starting to get their hands on the review copies of the new game, the Wii U version of the game, they took the time to try out the new stage, the Warp Gate stage, looking for the cameo appearances that always appear in Super Smash Bros. Star Fox stages. And they found something very, very interesting. While there are 3 sets of cameo conversations in the Warp Gate stage with different characters, different voice actors, old and new, and very cheesy dialogue, what was notable was the fact that Krystal and Wolf are nowhere to be found, not anywhere, not in the R-Wings, not in the background, and not in the conversations. And this is strange because both Krystal and Wolf appeared in that stage in the game. It's almost as if they removed every possible reference to those 2 characters. Now, there have been a lot of humorous theories appearing up on the internet, as they often do when a new Smash Bros. Game comes out or a new Star Fox game is talked about, that Nintendo will soon be getting rid of Krystal. However, given the evidence, they would have to conclude that Nintendo is also getting rid of Wolf and the Star Wolf team as well in this scenario. That they'll be axed as well, because it's the same evidence both ways, but curiously, no one seems to be making that claim. I suspect that they're letting their hatred of Krystal get the better of them, not thinking things through. Either way, I hope that Krystal does appear, both as cameo appearances and as a actual playable character. I since purchased the game, both the 3DS version and the Wii U version, and it's a lot of fun. Both versions, actually. I was surprised. The 3DS version, it really does feel like Smash, even though it's such a small screen. I can't believe they managed to fit the Smash experience in such a small handheld device, but it really does feel like Smash. So don't worry about that if you're on the fence about it. Obviously, the graphics are quite a bit lower. The actual game for the Wii U that I get to play with my GameCube controller is fantastic. It feels very balanced, very fast, like Melee. Very easy to pick up, but not dumbed down like Brawl was. I also arrived in the mail. I got my Fox Amiibo, which, as you can see, is still in the package, so I haven't had a chance to actually open it up and give it a try. But I'm looking forward to that. I have that. I also have the Samus Aran, not the Zero Suit Samus, but the Chozo Power Suit version, and I'll give that a try as well. I'm not usually a Fox player in Smash Brothers. He's actually a little too fast for me. I prefer Jigglypuff, Luigi, and Samus Aran most of the time. But, it's Star Fox, so I have to get it. Now, the last bit of news is not actually official Smash Brothers news. It is about a fan album that came out just a few days before the game came out. It's called Heroes of Harmony, and it's a Super Smash Bros. Album with 101 remix tracks from all the great musicians out there doing video game remix music. Now, I was surprised because this album is fantastic. I can find as far as I can tell, there's maybe like one bad song on the entire 100-song album. They're all just exquisitely done. They're all really, really good. And you will find, among other things, 6 Star Fox related remixes and half of a remix that's kind of in there with a bunch of other things. You see, the last track in the album is a compilation of all the different series as one song. It's a medley, and Star Fox has a very significant orchestral presence in that song, and so you should definitely give that album a listen if you haven't already. I think you won't be disappointed. So that does it for Smash Brothers news. Let's go on to video updates. Now, I made a couple of posts about some video projects I was doing. Behind the scenes, I've obtained 2 devices. I've obtained the monoprice Wii to HDMI converter. This allows me to plug this in the back of my Wii, and I can connect my HDMI monitor or capture device directly into it. That means I can capture Wii footage at 720p or 1080p. Now the Wii and the GameCube can't actually output that kind of resolution, but it does do a pretty good job of scaling it up. I also got the related thing, which is a HDMI capture device. Now this is the AverMedia Extreme Cap U3. This is the only consumer level device on the market today that can handle a recording of 1080p video at 60 frames per second. And it really can. Now you need a pretty beefy computer to do that, but I just so happen to have made a gaming computer myself at the beginning of the year. So I actually can support this, and I went out and recorded a few videos of Star Fox Adventures using these video tools, and also the Final Cut Pro, which is now able to support the kinds of resolutions we're talking about here. 60 frames per second, 1080p, amazing quality video. What I found is that with these devices I can get much superior quality video from even old GameCube games. And with the Wii U now supporting HDMI directly, I can plug it directly in and record the Smash Brothers and the new Star Fox game when it comes out directly at 1080p, 60 frames per second. Buttery smooth, fantastic look. And you know, what are the odds at almost exactly the same time YouTube comes out with their 60 frame per second 1080p video modes, so you can actually watch it without downloading the entire video to your local hard drive. You can watch it right on YouTube at 60 frames per second, no problem. And I did a few experimental videos and found the results stunning. And some of you have seen those. I redid a video of Krystal obtaining the first Krystal spirit, and it looks fantastic. Check it out. It's called I think it's called Receiving the First Krystal Spirit Remastered. It's one of the first videos on this channel. So anyway, there's that, and I've got a bunch of other video projects in the works that I mentioned in the last podcast. I'm hoping that my next big video project is going to be the Anita Sarkeesian response video, and I'm going to be really optimistic and try and have it out for Christmas Day. That's being really optimistic. I don't know if I can make it in time because there's a lot of content to go through. But since I'm not done with it yet, I wanted to go through a couple of the arguments and responses that I have to some of the things she said. Okay, so this is not all the things that I've found so far, and this is all very rough, response. But I just wanted to go over some of the kind of points that I'll be making. And for those who haven't heard, Anita Sarkeesian is the owner of the so-called Feminist Frequency channel. It is a channel where she talks about feminist issues, and I think it's both a video series and a blog. I'm not entirely sure, but she's been doing this series called Damsel in Distress, and it's talking about female protagonists in video games. And while I haven't watched all of her videos, and I'm not going to say one way or the other how I think about her arguments, there was an issue I had with her first video, which actually used Krystal as a prop to convey the message that essentially female characters are not given their due share in video games today. Now, she made a lot of points about Krystal, but there were some key things she left out, and these are some of the things I'll be mentioning. So, some of these are quotes from her, okay? So, quote, she, talking about Krystal, was tasked with traveling through time, fighting prehistoric monsters with her magical staff, and saving the world. Now, I respond that that's a bit overstating it. As she says in other parts, Krystal was just one of two main characters. My knowledge of the game indicates that the screen time between Krystal and Saber was roughly half. It wasn't like Krystal was the main character and there was a sidekick character named Saber. It was half and half, 50-50. But Anita seems to focus exclusively on Krystal here. I also don't know where she got the time travel thing from Dinosaur Planet. That may be a thing, but I don't recall ever seeing any indication that there was time travel. But I could be wrong on that one. Perhaps Anita saw that there were dinosaurs in the game and assumed that there was time travel. But either way, she's referring to the various dinosaur species, the sentient species of Dinosaur Planet, as prehistoric monsters. Now that sounds a bit specious to me, which is a bit ironic coming from a feminist channel, but it's neither here nor there. Next, quote, she was strong, she was capable, and she was heroic, end quote. Well, she probably means strong-willed, because in Dinosaur Planet, her attempt to stop Scales resulted in her getting simply slapped away. And likewise, in her attempt in Star Fox Adventures, she was actually just thrown overboard. Otherwise, she seems to be about as strong as Saber, the other main character in the game. So unless Anita has some kind of information that we don't have, I have to ask, Krystal is strong compared to who? Who's she strong compared to, exactly? The next thing is that I mentioned that throughout her video, Anita exclusively shows footage of Krystal in Dinosaur Planet, ignoring Saber entirely, as well as other characters who do play a role in the game. And not just a damsel in distress. She says that Krystal's time was removed, but in fact Krystal is playable for upwards of 15 minutes at the beginning of the game. And while she does call out in distress, Krystal does, is not, from her perspective, for her man Fox, as she doesn't even know Fox at the time. And when he does arrive to save her, she simply takes back her staff with not so much as a thank you. She doesn't have any idea what's going on, as opposed to Princess Peach, who she uses in another part of the video, who's constantly calling out for Mario to save her, who is indeed really, really a damsel in distress. Now, another quote. The tale of how Krystal went from protagonist of her own epic adventure to the passive victim in someone else's game illustrates how the damsel in distress trope disempowers female characters and robs them of their chance to be heroes in their own right. End quote. Again, it's not just her adventure. She had equal time with Saber. Both were cut down, but at least Krystal got to stay in the game. Saber no longer exists. Anita fails to mention the purpose of Krystal's entrapment at all to the story. Krystal was not made a damsel in distress purely as a motivation for the main character. The Krystal suspended animation system at the top of Krazoa Palace was a way of focusing the spiritual energies from the Krazoa spirits through her to revive Andross. Literally no other character in the entire Star Fox series would have been suitable for entrapment in the same way. They would have probably been just killed by Andross or Scales or whoever found them first, as they did with many Earthwalkers and Krystal herself when Scales tossed her overboard at the beginning of the game like a ragdoll. Anita does not mention all of Krystal's influences in future games. Krystal is an integral part of the team in Assault and arguably the most important character in Command, because she's responsible for most of the story's lead-up, she's playable for many missions, and her choices and relationships ultimately determine most of the endings of the game, which has a grand total of 9. Anita in other places expresses concern that, quote, Peach is kidnapped 13 out of 14 of the core Mario series games, end quote. However, Anita doesn't give Nintendo any credit at all for giving Krystal a much bigger role in 2 out of the 3 games containing Krystal. That's greater than 50% of the games, which is more than you can say for a lot of characters, male or female. Now, another thing is that Fox saves multiple people throughout Star Fox Adventures who have been captured, not just Krystal. He saves the Queen Skyrunner, Tricky, twice. He saves Garundate, Belenite, at least one other one other Snowhorn, and probably, and he also saves himself when he gets trapped in a dungeon. He saves himself in the Cloud Runner Fortress. So Krystal is not the only victim. She's not unique here, okay? She's just one of many victims in the midst of a planet-wide civil war. Again, context that Anita is just simply not considering or ignoring. And that's just some of the problems I've had with her video, and I will be expounding upon in the response video, along with, thanks to these nice babies, video to show what I'm talking about. And I will actually be recording my own video. Apparently, Anita did not record her own video, and in fact, just took videos off YouTube and then didn't credit them. Another thing I'm going to have to talk about on the video. But we'll get into that around Christmas time, hopefully. Next and last of the old news, right before the podcast, 2 days ago, Miyamoto and Eiji Aonuma sat down at the Game Awards 2014 to talk about the new Zelda for the Wii U. Now, let me put a bit of context here. First of all, the Game Awards is the new Game Awards show that's basically replacing the Spike TV Game Awards show, which, in point of fact, was horrible. I haven't watched all of it yet, but from what I've seen and what I've heard, the new Game Awards show is fantastic, and Nintendo had a great presence there. They showed off the new Mario Maker trailer, showing off that you can not only do original Mario and new Super Mario Bros. Styles, but you can also now do Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Mario World video styles for your custom levels. And that was great. Reggie talked for a bit. There was also a live solo and duo performance by, and I'm blanking on his name, but he's the guy who wrote most of the music for the Mario series and the Zelda series for a long, long, long time. Somebody in the chat is going to figure it out and post it for me. Please. Thanks. Anyway, so they sat down. Now, who's this Eiji Aonuma guy? In case you're wondering. Miyamoto is so influential and so powerful within Nintendo, and his skills are needed so much throughout all of their game series, that Miyamoto over the past few years has actually been handing over the reins of the Zelda series to this guy, Mr. Aonuma, if you didn't already know. So he's been responsible for the last 2 or 3 Zelda games, actually. Skyward Sword, and he's working on the Majora's Mask remake, and I think he did the Link Between Worlds, I believe. So he's basically, Miyamoto has been training him over the past couple of years to be the guy in charge of Zelda while he works on other projects, and dare I say it, Miyamoto has to retire or gives up the ghost. He is pretty old after all. But yeah, Miyamoto has been striving throughout the different companies, throughout the different studios in the company, to get more people to be able to build the games that only he was able to build in the past, so that they will be able to continue after he's gone. And I think it's working out so far. And the plus side of this is that Mr. Miyamoto now has a little more time to work on experimental gameplay stuff that we saw at E3, not the least of which is the new Star Fox game for the Wii U. Now, when they sat down, they were talking about the Zelda Wii U, and I don't want to just brush over this because this game looks fantastic. It's looking very much like Skyrim in the sense that you can walk anywhere and there are huge spaces to walk in, and you can do whatever you want. You can ride your horse, you can jump off of your horse and fight enemies, shoot arrows, use your sword, set waypoints because the maps are so large that you have to travel straight for 5, 6, 10 minutes just to get somewhere nearby. Just an inch away on the map, but it's going to take you 10 minutes to get there. Excuse me. And he also showed some interesting features with Epona, who will, in fact, once you set her on a course, will not simply run into trees or obstacles, but has enough artificial intelligence to kind of avoid things while still kind of going in the direction you sent her, which is yet another one of those things that you think, why haven't they done this in other games before? It's so obvious. Anyway, it looks fantastic. The game looks really great. It looks like it plays great, and they played something like 4 or 5 minutes of live gameplay footage, which is something that you don't see from a lot of companies except Nintendo these days. They're not showing trailers. They're showing actual in-game content, and it looks fantastic. What do we even need a cinematic trailer for anymore these days? It's almost getting to that point. The graphics are getting so good. But as an offhand comment, Mr. Ayano asked Miyamoto, "Hey, how's that Star Fox game you're working on going?" And Miyamoto acted surprised. I don't know if it was pre-canned or not, but he said that the important thing is that it's coming along very well, that like the Zelda Wii U game, it'll be coming out 2015, next year, but he also mentioned that the Star Fox game will come out before Zelda for the Wii U. Now, currently it's expected for Zelda Wii U to come out around holiday season 2015, which generally for Nintendo means it means November 26th, because that's when they release Smash Brothers. That's when they release the new Pokemon games. In the past, that's when they've released systems. So all points indicate that the Zelda will probably come out on that date, and that means that Star Fox is going to be before that, sometime early November or even earlier. Who knows? But apparently it's coming along really, really well, which is encouraging. He also said that the Star Fox game will really make good use of the gamepad control that the Wii U has, and he also said that the controls feel really good, which is encouraging because, in my opinion, one of the fastest ways to make a Star Fox game terrible is to make the controls terrible. Once you feel like you're not actually piloting a ship, well, you lose that immersion. And that's why I hold Star Fox 64 up as the gold standard in control, and Star Fox Assault, while good on many technical counts, including graphics, felt horrible to control. It was all way too loose. Way too loose. So that covers all the old news up until now. So I'm going to go on to the new news, the stuff that's coming soon. Now, actually, there was one bit of news. It was not really news. It was kind of a warning I put on the site a couple days ago, saying that I was investigating some speed issues with the site. And I spent an evening trying to figure out why the site seems so slow these days, and I came to some very interesting conclusions. But unfortunately, I can't fix them now. At least not yet. So I had to put things back the way they were. But here's what I found. WordPress is a PHP-based, database-driven CMS for blogs and web pages. And I've used it to great effect for the past few years on this site and other sites, and it's been great. But I noticed that now, with the speed of internet and the speed of how fast I've made the site as far as the stuff I can control, the theme, the styles, the images, everything else, well, it's about as fast as it's going to be. I could change the way the theme works to make it faster, but for now, for what we have, it's as good as it can be. So I was still getting like loading times of the site switching between loading the main page and loading some other page is taking somewhere around a minute to a second to a second and a half just to get a response back. That's before we start loading images, text, and videos. And I did some experiments and found that WordPress by itself, even on a perfect connection, which means I'm actually running it from my laptop, communicating as if there is no internet, as if the internet is connected directly to my machine, and then there is no network transfer time. It still takes WordPress upwards of 200 milliseconds to do anything, just to start up. Not my site, which could be large. I mean, a bare minimum has nothing on its site takes 200 milliseconds. That's a fifth of a second. That's a fifth of a second that I can't use to start rendering the page and make the site look good. As opposed to if I was serving this with basic files, you can expect, even over an internet connection, only about 70 milliseconds. And then you have it. You have the page there. 70 milliseconds later. WordPress takes at least 200 milliseconds just to start to give you the page. Now, this is bad because the ultimate goal of having any website these days is to have your website load fully, or at least enough that you can start reading things in under a second. But WordPress, because of the network time and WordPress itself, I can't even begin loading until after a second. Which brings me to some really hard choices. Currently, we're hosting the site on something called shared hosting, which is where I share the server with a bunch of other people, and they try and even it out so not too many people are on one server. And I talked to my hosting company, DreamHost, and they confirmed that as far as they can tell, the server's doing fine. It's not overloaded or anything. So we're looking at a limitation on the shared hosting. Undoubtedly, if I got something called VPS hosting, it'd be faster. It'd be a lot faster. How much faster? Hard to say. It could probably cut the WordPress time in half, which would be good, and it would also decrease the time to transfer the other things as well, the styles, the images, whatnot. But unfortunately, that costs about $15 a month extra, whereas now I'm already paying about $10 a month, and I eat that. I eat that cost. It's not a big deal. I have worked out arrangements among my other websites, so essentially the hosting itself of the Krystal Archive is essentially free compared to other sites. But if I were to go VPS, it's going to add an additional cost, and there's other things I want to spend that money on too. I want to have the site work HTTPS, make the site secure, which has various advantages, not just security. But that costs so much per month, at least $10 a month. So it's starting to add up quickly. The other option I have is to use something called a flat file CMS. And that would require me to stop using WordPress entirely. I would use a very bare bones, minimal website architecture that serve files directly rather than going to the database and building the page through PHP. That's quite a bit different, and it would be a lot of work to get it transferred over. And even then, it's not perfect because there's something coming up soon, a new technology that's going to reduce the effects of the differences between a mobile application and a website. And that is something called offline first. This is probably going to be one of the biggest changes to websites since they discovered that you can do AJAX and actually have web applications in the first place. And that means that you build the site in such a way that you treat an internet connection as an enhancement that you don't have to have all the time. This is really good because that means that you can load the website instantly. It's already on your, assuming you visited it before, it's already on your hard drive, and it will just load up immediately. Less than the time that it takes for you to blink your eyes, it can be loaded. And then it can make requests, and if there's new content, it can bring the content down and update the page while you're viewing it. You don't have to wait for the whole page to download. And then you do similar things so that when you click a link, instead of reloading the whole page, it would actually just change the content out, but the site itself would stay the same. This has the potential to make the website responsive in less than 100 milliseconds total for everything, pictures and all. And it would be best thing I could do as far as making it fast. However, given the current state of the technology, while it is possible to have an offline first blog, I can find no technology currently that has been built for it, which means I will probably build it. And this is a huge undertaking to build a CMS from scratch that works offline first, something that hasn't even really been done for this. They have offline first web apps, single page apps that do a thing or convert a thing. But this is a blog. This is a thing to read. Quite a bit different technology and architecture goes into that. So I'm doing some research. We'll see how it goes, but that's something way down the line. We'll see. Probably, more than likely, I'll make a VPS sooner than that, and make the site faster in that way. And then as I can add enhancements and change to a flat file CMS, I will. But that's coming out later. Excuse me. Now, one of the things I mentioned on the site was that I'm planning to do a panel at Furry Fiesta 2014 in Dallas, Texas. Now, let me just do a little background here and talk about how I came up with this idea. I was attending a Brony convention in Dallas a couple months ago, and I got to thinking, sitting there late at night, my roommate who went with me had gone to bed. He goes to bed early and gets up early, so he'd gone to bed, and I was not ready to go to bed yet. I was sitting out on the show floor, hanging out, watching people as they go by with these late night panels finishing up. And I got to thinking, given some of the panels I'd seen, and a lot of them were good, but a lot of them were questionable quality. And I'm like, they'll give a panel. They'll let just about anybody do a panel at one of these shows. I should do a panel at one of these shows. So, right then, sitting there in the hallway, I brought up my computer, contacted them through their volunteer page, and said, hey, I want to do a panel. It's going to be about the Krystal Archive podcast. I'll do it live. Doing it live. I'll have discussions with the attendees. We'll take questions, and I'll talk about this, how we make the site, all the news and everything, just like a regular podcast. And they approved it. They said that's perfectly within the things that they do. Yeah, we can do that. We can have you do a podcast as a panel at Furry Fiesta. So that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know yet what time or date. It's one of the 3 dates that Thursday, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But I don't know what date or time. They're going to get back to me sometime this month, and then I'll be able to make an announcement about it. But now that I have this panel to plan for, I got to thinking, what am I going to talk about? I mean, sure, there's the podcast, and it'll certainly be interesting with a live audience, as it will be later on as I take your questions. But, there's got to be... I feel like if I'm going to a conference, I've got to have something to show, something to reveal. Well, I've been researching it, and I have something to reveal. Actually, I have 3 or 4 things to reveal. I've been working very, very hard over the past few weeks on at least 2 secret projects. Probably more by the time February rolls around. They're really amazing, and I'm not going to ruin them for you, not even a hint. You're just going to have to either preferably come to the panel, or if I can, now there's technical difficulties involved. I may not even have an internet connection, but if I can, I will plan on live broadcasting the panel. But either way, I'm going to put a video up of it, so you'll get to see one way or the other, but tune in or come to the panel and see, because I've got some stuff that I've been wanting to do for years, and some really, really clever, interesting stuff to show off, and I hope that you'll enjoy them. But no hints, but it's pretty fantastic. You should check it out. And also, and this plays into the next bit of news. So I'll start with the next bit of news and talk about how it plays back into the panel thing. So Ayano, the famous Krystal cosplayer who typically goes to these furry conventions and does her adventures costume, has been in contact with me since, well, for a while now, and telling me that she plans to attend this Furry Fiesta 2014 as her debut of her assault costume. Now, she's all but confirmed that she will be there. She's currently, I got an email from her 3 or 4 days ago saying that she's prepping to go on the trip. Can't wait. And I asked her politely that if she would mind coming by the panel, to greet her fans, and also, to be able to take pictures with us, and I'm sure Krystal will want to see what's going on the Krystal Archive podcast. And she has agreed, assuming that everything goes according to plan and that she can make it, which she plans to do. She will be there. So that's one feature I can announce right now. The panel will feature Ayano stopping by, and who knows, maybe some other Star Fox characters in costume. I don't know. We had a Fox cosplayer at another convention a couple years ago, and that was pretty cool when he and Krystal interacting. Now, Ayano has sent me some photos of her nearly completed assault costume, but I'm not allowed to show them to you. She actually asked me not to show them to anyone at this point. And if she wants to show it to someone before the convention, I will be happy to post them. But for now, can't show that off. But it looks like the assault costume. She did a really fantastic job. I think the only thing she needs to do now is get the boots, which are like military-style boots, but blue, and a belt, that utility belt that Krystal wears around her waist. Looking fantastic. And the last bit of news is an email update. So a lot of you have been sending your emails, asking me questions, posting on the site, and sending me new content to show off on the site. And I thank you for that. I'm sorry I haven't had a chance to respond in the way I want to respond and post that content of yours. I promise I will. I've been, as I said earlier, working on a vast secret project, and that's been taking up pretty much all of my spare time, all of my evenings, and all of my weekends for the past 4 or 5 weeks. So I hope you'll be patient with me, and I'll get that responded to as soon as I can, sometime this month. And with that covers all the old and new news. So I want to take this moment to check the chat, which I'm going to go over on this computer and check. And if you guys have your questions, now's the time. And I'm going to go ahead and read a question I got via email, and do that first to give you guys time to put your questions in, all right? So here we go. Lucas JG 1994 writes, I was listening intently to your explanation of the amiibo for the Super Smash Bros. Wii U. But my question is there going to be an amiibo for the Nintendo 2DS as well? And I suppose it also applies to the 3DS. Now, the 3DS and the 2DS do not have the same kind of local area connection that the Wii U gamepad does. But according to the Nintendo UK site, they are planning to release this special adapter for the 3DS and likewise the 2DS that will allow you to use these amiibos with those games. So that's something that's going to come down the line. All right? So that's the only question I had via email. I hadn't been doing a lot of email answering. So that's what we have the live questions for. So let me see what we've got over here. Get my mouse to work. Any questions or discussion topics you guys want to hear from me would be good at this point. Let's see. And this is why we do it live. Yes, Nightmare Nights. Nightmare Nights was the Brony convention I was at. Let's see here. Okay, so one question is from Rena Fan. I think he's talking about the new Star Fox game for the Wii U. He asks, do I think that the game will be on rails, or will it be free reign? Well, there's different categories of that, right? So there's on rails, there's free range, all range mode, which is it's kind of like a box that you can work within. A box. I'm trying to do this on camera. A box that you can work within, but you can fly anywhere that you want within this planar box. And then there's on rails. You just go forward, off into the horizon. And then there's the things like what Star Fox Event Horizon does, which is you can go up and down and around and twist and turn in any direction you want. I don't think Nintendo's going to go with that. That's a very specific style of game, and it plays the way it plays differently. It doesn't play like a traditional Star Fox game. Now, if we take our cues from Command, which admittedly is not our favorite Star Fox game, but Command featured exclusively all-range mode levels. They were much larger levels, but you could fly in any of the 4 cardinal directions and turn around and do loops and stuff. If I had to guess, I would say they're probably going to continue that trend, that they're going to have their play mode as all-range mode. There might be like some intro parts and some boss fights that are on rails, but generally speaking, given what I've seen and the past recent history of Star Fox game, I think they're actually probably going to go with mostly all-range mode style gameplay. Plus the helicopter stuff, which is technically all-range, but plays in a completely different way because you're not continuously moving forward. You actually can hover with that helicopter demo they showed, which may not be in the final game, but who knows. Let's see what we got else. All right, good. We got some questions coming in. Good. All right, here we go. Oh, wow, it's moving fast. Let's see. Rena Fan, do you think Krystal will be in the new Star Fox on Wii U, and do you think the game will have new controls? Well, I'd like to hold out hope, but I'm so biased. I don't know if I can answer this question analytically without being too biased. I think there's no reason to think that Krystal will be cut. I don't think there's any realistic reason. But Nintendo has done things on the drop of a hat before, so there's really no telling. However, I do put this out. I do put this out here and say that, as far as I know, there's not a single character in the entire video game series, of any video game series that Nintendo owns, where they have cut a character forever. There's always an indication that they could come back. They've never said, we will not show this character again. The closest thing I can think of is Wart from the Super Mario Bros. 2 game, because we literally never see him again, as far as I know. However, a lot of other characters from that game, Shy Guys, those weird mask enemies, they do show up in other games, and also pulling up turnips from the ground. That's actually in Smash Brothers now. So even for Wart, I don't think that they're essentially saying that he'll never be in another game. Now, it would be very strange if a Star Fox game came out featuring a timeline after Adventures that doesn't feature Krystal. That would be very strange, and that would be pretty good evidence that she's not going to show up again. But then, if they're going to do something like that, they'd probably be restarting the series. Because how can you do something after Adventures and not talk about Krystal, her being such a pivotal character in the game? I mean, and then they'd also have to ignore Assault, and they'd have to ignore Command. And I just don't see that happening. They'd have to do a reboot, and they've already rebooted the series twice. I don't see them doing it again. Well, 1.5 times, actually. We'll see, but I don't think so. As for new controls, definitely. There will definitely be new controls because it'll be the new Wii U gamepad, obviously, but also we know for that helicopter mode thing, you use the touchscreen a lot more. And Miyamoto said that the controls were going to make a bit more of use of the controller. Actually, when he said that, he actually took the controller and he went like this, which indicates to me that there's going to be some kind of motion component to this Star Fox game, and who knows? Maybe he'll combine that demo with the robots. and actually make Star Fox walk around in mechs for part of the game. I mean, anything is open here, and it seems like Miyamoto is really interested in trying a lot of new ideas for this game. So I expect that we will see a lot of new controls, and probably some throwbacks too. There's no reason to think that the R-Wing controls will change dramatically. Real aircraft are piloted by essentially joysticks, so I don't see them changing the control stick style flight mode for those vehicles anyway. Let's look for our next question. Yeah, so they're asking, do they think the Krystal will be in there? All right, let's see here. Do you think we'll see Mew or Faye in the next Star Fox game? Now, I don't know if I'm pronouncing those right, but I think it's Mew and Faye. Now, these are two characters that only appeared, if I remember correctly, in Star Fox 2, the unreleased game, and they might have appeared, big might have appeared in the comics. But the comics have shown themselves to be very not canon, so we can't really talk about those. However, we can say that they did show up in the unreleased Star Fox 2. They were two female characters. Mew was a cat, kind of like Cat Monroe, but with a different color scheme. And Faye was a poodle. She was a dog, a poodle, specifically. White fur and poofy, if I remember correctly. But they were just more members of the team, like any of the others, adding to Fox, Falco, Peppy, and Slippy at the time. So there were actually 6 playable characters, as far as I recall. Although I don't think you could play more than 4 characters in the same level at the same time. I'm not sure, because I actually haven't ever played Star Fox 2. I'm a big Star Fox fan, but I'm kind of against emulation, and the only way you can play that game is by emulation. So I'm kind of like at a catch-22. I guess I could watch a bunch of videos on it. I just haven't taken the time because, Krystal's not there. And as much as I like Star Fox for me started with Star Fox 64. I never actually, I have since played the original Star Fox, but only briefly. My first Star Fox game was Star Fox 64. I know there's at least one person in the chat whose first Star Fox game was Star Fox Adventures, and I know that's a common thing for you whippersnappers these days. But I've never played it, so I don't know. I think that Nintendo will use whatever resources they think they can use. Keep in mind that they have no prior assets, no prior other than images. They don't have any 3D assets for Mew or Faye. They don't have any voice acting or voice actors to call from. So if they do include these characters, they will essentially be starting over with them. There'll be there won't be any historical aspects to their characters. They'll essentially be blank slates, which makes me think that if they're going to make new characters, they may not use them at all. They'll make brand new characters. Who knows? In the past, though, it seems like Nintendo has chosen to ignore every aspect of Star Fox 2, even though it's probably one of the most played unreleased games ever made. So I think they think that Nintendo tends to operate that if they didn't release it, it didn't happen. And you can see that when somebody leaks something. They say, we do not comment on ongoing video game leaks, or we have no comment. They just say, we'll have no comment. And then when they actually do the press release, they don't mention the fact that there was a leak in their press release. They just act as if it didn't happen. So I suspect a similar thing with Star Fox 2. Let's see if there's any more questions. Somebody says that the mechanized Fox would be awesome, and also their first game, Vulpex's first Star Fox game, was the Star Fox for the Super NES. And he's an old fart. I did see it. I did see Star Fox playable in the store. I saw it in Sears and Service Merchandise. Remember those guys? I saw it playable, and I actually had the opportunity to play it once around Christmas time back in 1993 or 4, I think it was. But I didn't bother because it was at the time 3D was so new. I didn't. It was so busy and new, and I just didn't know what to think. I was like, "What are those?" I didn't even recognize them as being ships. It was like noise to me at the time. I mean, I was an old enough kid to play. I played the NES. Okay, I knew what games were, but this 3D thing, so new. I just didn't interest me. But then later on, I went into a Walmart back in 1996, something like that. And someone was playing Star Fox 64, and I saw those graphics and what they were doing, and then flying around with the spaceship, and it was immediately obvious what it was. The graphics were so much better. And I saw that, and not knowing anything about it, I said, I have to have that game. And I think I bought it within a few weeks. Or back at that time, that was back when I had to rely on parents for Christmas presents to get games. So I don't know if I bought it immediately or I had to wait for a birthday or something. But I did get it pretty quickly after that. And then I played it for 30 minutes or an hour every day for a whole summer. And that was pretty fun. I played that game a lot. People are talking about their first consoles. And yes, Arena fans' first Star Fox was Adventure. So there you go. And they were trying to beat Super Mario Land. I actually, you know what? Super Mario Land was, not Super Mario Land. Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins, was the first game, I'm ashamed to admit this, but Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins was the first game that I beat without using cheat codes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know how I got it, but I got a Game Shark back in the NES days, and I played with the Game Shark for every single game. I'm ashamed of it today, but that's what I did. It does speak well of those old Nintendo games, because all those old games, Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario World especially for the Super NES, represent how even with infinite life, infinite health, and all the items you could ever want, the game is still fun to play. That speaks volumes, I think, for the game design of Nintendo versus other games where if you get all the items, it's like, what am I doing? And if you're an invincible character, if you make yourself invincible in Call of Duty, what fun is there in that? There's no challenge. Nothing even interesting happens. Super Mario Land 2, that was a really good game, and I did beat that whole thing with no cheats. And it's surprising that that's the first game that I beat without cheats. It's pretty bad. I don't play with cheat devices anymore, and I'm a better gamer for it. All right, let's see what else we got. It's okay, we've all used Game Genie, Game Shark. Yes. Okay, an interesting discussion topic. John92 asks, hello, just curious, what were your motivations in creating the Krystal Archive website? I've talked about this a few times in the past for various topics, but the story is basically the same. Way back in 2002, I got Star Fox Adventures. Well, okay, let me start at the beginning. So early 2002, maybe 2001, late 2001, I went late at night. I would go late at night after my college class. I would take a night class, and then I would stop by the Walmart on the way home and see if Nintendo had put out a new GameCube demo disc. And one night they had, and it included Star Fox Adventures. Now, I had been a Star Fox fan since the N64, so I knew that this game was coming out, and I was excited for it. I mean, another Star Fox game. Great. I love Star Fox games. And I got there, and I started playing the game, and I was like, okay. And then this blue character shows up, and it's a blue fox, and she's wearing some really revealing clothing, and this is not something that you expect from Nintendo, from any series, let alone Star Fox, and this was quite a surprise. But I remember thinking at the time, you know what? If it's good enough for Nintendo, it's good enough for me. I'm going to assume that they're not going to do something too drastic here, and just assume that this is a character who's wearing a tribal loincloth, and we're just not going to think about it from now on, okay? And so I did, and I played the game. It was a fun game. No R-Wing, oddly enough, but that you could play that part of the demo elsewhere, and so, yeah, planning on getting it. So then I just had to choose, where am I going to reserve this game that I get to... that I get the coolest swag for reserving the game. And the coolest swag was from Circuit City, a now defunct company, but they were offering the Star Fox Emergency Pack, which includes a Star Fox themed Jones soda, which is actual soda pop, a Star Fox game tip toilet paper roll, a door hanger, like a thing you can hang on your door, so it tells people to not bother you because you're playing Star Fox Adventures. And all of this came in a box that says, Star Fox Adventures, and it has all the characters on it. And they were also giving away at the time a Star Fox Adventures car air freshener for some reason. They had all this weird stuff, man. But I loved it, and I actually have that. I still have that air freshener. I got 2 air fresheners. So one stays in that box, and the other one actually is still in my car to this day. That 10-year-old air freshener is in my car. It doesn't do anything, but it hangs from my rear view mirror most of the time. Anyway, so I played the game, and I'm a very slow video game player. So I took 4 or 5 months to beat the game, and I finished it over the Christmas holiday, right before college. And that was it. It was a Star Fox game. I played the game. Great. But then I went to college, and I had all my GameCube games, and at the time I was playing a lot of Metroid. But, this was the first time in my life that I had consistent high-speed internet. At home, I only had dial-up, and while I used that to the greatest extent I could, broadband was a new thing for me when I went to college in 2003, early 2003. And that allowed me to see all the Star Fox communities and realize for the first time that Krystal had a significant following, and this was curious to me. And I kind of followed it off and on for a while. And then at certain point, and also with my newfound internet abilities, I joined a Metroid-themed forum, and that's where I spent most of my time at the time. After a couple years, I got to thinking, I know a lot about Star Fox because I'd played the game. Oh, and another key thing I forgot to mention. A year or so later, I also got a DVD writer. Now, being able to write your own DVDs was a new thing also at the time. And I had a very, very old capture device. Nothing as fancy as this. It was actually a graphics card you had to plug into your back of your computer, my old desktop. And you could record video off of cable or an input source, like component video from the GameCube. And one of the reasons I wanted a capture device is I wanted to record all the cutscenes from all the games I played so I could watch them anytime. This was before YouTube existed. Or if YouTube existed, it was very, very new and no one knew about it. And I knew that the first game I should try, a game that had lots of cutscenes, was Star Fox Adventures. I'd played through, so I knew where all the cutscenes were. I figured I'd just play through the game, record the whole thing, and cut out all the cutscenes and make a DVD. And I did. I actually made 2 DVDs containing all the cutscenes in the game. Now, I never went on to do the same thing for other games. I mean, maybe for one cutscene or another for just to try it out. But I never did the whole game again. But by playing through the game again and recording the video the whole time, I got to, and editing it later, I edited the video. I got to see a lot of details that a lot of people will probably miss. And combined with my general watching of the internet forums about what's going on with Star Fox things and watching things, and then Star Fox Assault came out, and I played through that. I just thought to myself, I know a lot about Star Fox and Krystal in particular, so I should make a website where I put all the information that I know, because I know I can do a good job. I know I can put the cutscenes that no one else has because I can record them. I know I can get some recorded sound clips. And also around this time, people were starting to finally be able to emulate Star Fox adventures. And I thought, that's interesting. I should look at the source code. I wasn't going to play the game, but I look at the source code. Downloaded the source code, and I found very quickly that I was able to decode all of the voice acting clips for the entire game. And interestingly, it included a lot of voice clips from characters that didn't exist in the game, or from conversations that changed or didn't exist in the game. And so I started conglomerating that information, combined with the mysterious poster in the Great Fox, which was my first post on Star Fox Online. I made a post about this mysterious poster on one side of the Great Fox that you can't see unless you turn the camera just right. Actually, that was what sparked me into looking into the source code. Was I was trying to look into the source code so I could find out what that poster was, and I inadvertently found this other stuff about voice clips. So now I have a bunch of knowledge about Krystal that no one else knows, and a bunch of cutscenes. Voice clips about Krystal that no one else knows. I was like, I have to present this. I have to show the world. So I made a very basic site where I made several sections with video, audio, images. I gathered all the promo images I could find, some screenshots, everything. And I wrote a few articles talking about the various aspects of Krystal in each game and what we're planning to see in the future. And that was it. It wasn't even a blog at first. It was just a site, if I remember correctly. And that was hugely popular among the Star Fox Online and the, at the time, very rapidly growing furry community, and a forum I had known about but hadn't joined at the time, I think, called the Krystal Lovers Association. So that just ballooned and ballooned, and because I had a presence there, people gave me more content that I could then use to build the site with. I made a blog, I made it more interactive, then I switched to WordPress later on. And it's just built and built and built since then. And we've had our issues. We had the hacking incident 3 years ago, that I'm still trying to recover from. But that was the motivations. I wanted to create a cool place online that was just about Krystal, that was family friendly, because at the time a lot, if not most of the stuff Krystal related was not family friendly. I wanted to make a family friendly thing where people could see literally everything, and that included fan art, the videos, the audio. I tried to make sure that I got every piece of art I could find, good or bad. I didn't judge. I was an archive, not a place where I could only post the things that I liked. I wanted to post everything Krystal related, assuming it was family friendly. And that's what I've done for the past almost 9 years now. And we're going to have our birthday January 8th, 2014. It will be our 9th birthday online. So, and I remember actually that back in, let's see, I guess it was 2004, I think? 2005, January 2005 was when I started it. So actually, that's when I put it online. I started it during the Christmas. I actually was working feverishly on the site over the Christmas holiday the previous year. So that's when I did actually most of the website development and fan art, looking for fan art and all that stuff, was the Christmas holiday. And I finally was able to release it January 8th. So there's that. Let's check and see if there's some other questions here. Yes, a car air freshener. I was not... Apparently, Rena Fan has never heard of this. I'm going to have to make a post about this. You know what? Actually, I plan to bring all of my Star Fox and Krystal related paraphernalia and merchandise to the panel at Furry Fiesta 2014. So I'll be showing that off on camera so we get a chance to see. So look forward to that. Let's see here. Rena Fan has another question. Do you think it would have been a big surprise if Krystal was revealed as the figure in the suit at the end of the original Metroid? Well, that would be an amazing surprise, and also kind of a time paradox because she was not even a twinkle in Rare's eyes. I don't even know if Rare existed at the time. I have seen a couple fan arts though where Krystal is in fact in the Chozo power suit, and those are pretty sweet. They're pretty awesome. Let's see here. Looks like that's pretty much all the comments and questions we have for today. I'm going to just search up in the past, see if I can find any other questions. The cool thing, I hope this. Oh, let's see. There were someone named Katie and Rena Fan were talking amongst themselves about their favorite moments in adventures. That's cool. I'm gonna have to read through this chat log later on. I might just actually copy it down and post it with the video when I finish editing it. But yeah, this has been the first live thing. Now, I actually didn't really get a chance to try all this out. I did get to make sure that I could play the video and it would work, but there's a bunch of features here that I haven't gotten to try. I think it will allow me to play YouTube videos over this video. It'll also let me to show my screen. So perhaps, for a future episode, I can show you guys like what I'm working on as far as like how the site works behind the scenes. Or if I talk about a new Zelda trailer, I can actually show the trailer. You know what? I'm going to try it right now. I'm going to see, because we got some time. I'm going to see if I can play that YouTube video over this video. All right, so just give me a second to work out the technical details here. Good. Just checking GarageBand, making sure the audio is still recording. That would be terrible if it wasn't. We'd only have the video stream as the audio for the podcast. That would be terrible. Let's see here. Jump on over to the Krystal Archive podcast and grab this. You got to be careful not to play the sound because otherwise you'll hear it, and I don't want you to hear sound on my computer. I want you to hear it on your computer. So let's see if that works here. All right. Yeah. Got to install this little YouTube app. Needs permission. Okay, great. Setting it up. All right, good. So now, what do I have to do? I have no idea what to do at this point. This is weird. I thought this was going to let me play a YouTube video over the video, but I don't know that it will. That is strange. Well, I'm going to have to experiment with that later. But I was going to play the Zelda thing. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it through the video, the screen capture. That would be horrible quality. You should see the actual video. Okay. So with that, I think we're gonna cut it short. I think we're pretty much everything. Technical difficulties, yes. Oh wait, no. Hey, John, 92. I'm still here. If you got your question, send it my way. He says he's going to wait till next time, but no, send it on. I'm good. We've only been broadcasting for like an hour and 20 minutes. This is normal length podcast. It's fine. Unfortunately, he has to wait for my. See, I'm recording it. There's like a 60-second delay on what I am recording and what you see. So it's going to take him, a minute to see that I said yes. Please send your question. So let's see. I wish it was more like 5 or 10 seconds, but that's just the nature of it, I guess. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to be keeping this video up. Unless something weird happens, I'm going to keep the video version of the podcast up, in addition to the audio-only version. So, and I'd like to make this a regular thing. I'd like to make this live podcast thing the way we always do podcasts from now on. However, I'd like to make it a little nicer than it is now. It's just me, my face with this white wall in the background. I think that we can do these enhancements where I can play YouTube videos and show pictures on the live feed about the stuff I'm talking about, so you don't have to look at my ugly face the whole time. By the way, I have a beard now. We have done a live podcast before, but it was never recorded the way this one's recorded. It was just a live broadcast that you could watch it if you were live, but you couldn't watch the previous version. So let's see. Ask him, he demands it. Now he's like, okay, give me a minute. So apparently it's a long question because he has to type it out. And now they're talking about memes. Now, see, as a regular podcast, all this little conversational bit would be cut down and removed because, it's dead air, essentially. I just have to keep talking while waiting for the question to come in. Ask anything at all, anything at all. I could do my impressions of the shopkeeper from Star Fox Adventures. That's going to destroy your speakers. I'm not doing that. Never again. Never again. I'm going to check the past again. I should get some cool posters for the wall behind you. Since this is a live show, hold on one second. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got a couple things here. I thought, since I'm on camera already, let me show you a couple things. So I'm going to show off some of my crystal paraphernalia I've got here. So this is a framed picture by Morningstar. This is her picture of Adventures Krystal. For the purpose of, I can't think of the word. It's a reference picture. Yes, it's a reference picture. It shows what the character looks like front and back, so you can get the details right on other pictures. And I was the only one who bought this, besides the guy who originally commissioned it. But for those of you who've been on the site for a really long time, remember I made a big deal about this because it was one of my first original contents that I got to show off. And I thank the original contributor and the commissioner, Tobias, for that. So I got my other box of interesting stuff over here. Let's see here. All this stuff I'll be bringing with me to the convention, Furry Fiesta 2014. Looking at this box right now, I actually don't have, in this box anyway, it's in another box, the Star Fox emergency ration box thing. And I could get it, but it would take a long time to get, so we're just going to have to wait till next time. But I do have some other interesting things. Let me show you. So, let's see what we got here. So, here's something interesting. This is one of a kind. This is a CD, and I don't know if you can read it, but it says VO audition and clips. Voice acting, voice over audition and clips. This is the CD that contains the original audition for Krystal by Alesia Glidewell. When I interviewed her back in the day, Alesia Glidewell actually gave me a CD containing not only her audition for this character, but other characters as well. So I have, and I posted that on the site. It's on the site right now, but this is the original CD that she gave me. That's a one-of-a-kind item. I've got, just for collectible reasons, I have a sealed Japanese Star Fox for the Super NES. Sealed. This was actually not that expensive. Rare old games in Japan are not that expensive because there are so many collectors, I guess. But yeah, this is the original. I have never opened it. Oh wait, no, I have. It's not sealed. It's sealed in this plastic, but it has been opened before. But it's in great condition. We've got a couple of CDs here. Let's see. These are not things that would make any sense if I told you what they were. Okay. Also, for collectible reasons, I have the Japanese versions of Star Fox Adventures and Star Fox Assault. These are the packages that GameCube games came in Japan. They're much smaller than a traditional GameCube case, and they're pretty straightforward. The Star Fox Assault is shiny, very shiny, and it's shiny all the way around. The Adventures one, now I've actually tried this. I have the little cheat device that lets you play Japanese games on your GameCube, so I have given this a try, and I found that the Japanese version of Adventures is identical in every single way to the English version. All the voices are exactly the same. The only difference, literally the only difference that I was able to determine was that they replaced the English characters for the subtitles with Japanese characters. And I don't even know how that works for Saurian characters. Who knows what that would do. Probably won't even do anything. It'd probably replace it with Saurian. It looks like they just kind of hacked it together and changed the text out. But anyway, the other thing, there's one interesting thing about this game, though. On the back, there's a mini comic, which actually I have posted on the site. It's a mini comic basically talking about the story of the game. It says, "Bad luck, General," says Krystal. "Well done, Fox. Dinosaur Planet has been saved. We can finally repair the ship." And then Scale says, "Fox, this is not over. Now you must face me," he says. Anyway, so that's fun. And speaking of Japanese stuff, I have... Again, these are not terribly rare. You could probably buy them. This is the Star Fox 64 semi-official player's guide. So you can see, this is a player's guide from Japan for Star Fox 64. And it looks like it's got the same basic content as the Star Fox 64 player's guide and the official one in America. So that's cool. I have the same thing, but for Star Fox Assault. Okay. Now, this one is actually licensed by Nintendo. So this one's a little bit more official than this other one. I think... Well, no, this one's licensed by Nintendo too. But this one is... it's got more of Nintendo's branding on it. And they've clearly got some additional maps that only Nintendo could have provided. Again, this looks like the same sort of content that you would get in the English Player's Guide. And it even has this little insert thing. I don't even know what it says. It's all in Japanese. There's one really cool thing about this one in particular. There's one feature of this book that makes it worth having that you wouldn't know about. I don't think I've ever actually even mentioned this, but let me show you. So there's this picture of Krystal that we never got. It was a promo image that never appeared in English-speaking countries. It only appeared on the Japanese site and really, really small. But in this guide, it's at full quality, and it shows us that it's actually originally very big. Look at that. Remember this image? The closest thing we've seen is this image was really, really tiny on the Japanese official website. But as you can clearly see, they have a really big image. I need to talk to somebody in Japan who knows how to contact these guys. The name of the company is not listed here. But they've got this mascot cat character. And anyway, they apparently make a lot of these books. And if we could find somebody who's got in contact with the Japanese staff, they obviously have this picture somewhere in their archives. If we could get that, that would be amazing. That's, as far as I know, the last remaining promo image that we do not have anywhere. So that's interesting. Now, as you're probably guessing, I have the same sort of thing for adventures as well. Oh wait, no, I don't. I don't. There may not have been an adventure one. I actually have a different Star Fox Assault one by accident. This one is also licensed by Nintendo, and it's got it too has that picture in it right there. See, again, higher resolution than we've ever seen before. So this is like the official image that we just never got to see. If somebody knows where that image is, I really need it for the site. And finally, now this one is super, super official. This one I think actually was published by Nintendo. And the reason why I know it was is because it was listed on the official site for Star Fox Command Player's Guide. This is the official Japanese Star Fox Command Player's Guide. Same format, same size. And it's got all the content you'd expect, all the maps, everything like that. It also has a complete listing of all the different enemies, which, as far as I know, is not done in any other book anywhere. Because there were a lot of different enemies. Now, they mostly did the same things, but there were a ton of different ones. And this has like every single one in the back of the book. It's like a Pokemon manual almost. So that's pretty cool. So that's most of my Japanese stuff. Let me see what else I've got over here. Let's see. The next question has come in on the chat, so I will get to that once I finish with this stuff. So we've got... Oh, I was wrong. There is a Japanese Star Fox Adventures Player's Guide. It's just in a different format. It's almost the full-size magazine. There it is. Japanese version. And as far as I know, it's got the same kind of content you would expect from the American version. Okay. The reason why I brought all this stuff out is Katie in the chat said that I should have some cool posters in the background. I actually do have 2, maybe 3 Star Fox posters. One from Adventures and one from Assault. But I don't have them handy. But I figured I'd show this other stuff too. There's Krystal and Scales. Yeah. All in Japanese, possible for me to read. Let me look at see what's the next thing here. So this is something I mentioned on the site a while ago. This is another piece of custom art. Now this is not Krystal, but this is a character from Faux Pas comic series, which I enjoy. And they dressed up one of the main characters, which is just a feral fox, feral-ish fox. She can talk. Dressed her up as Krystal. I purchased that for them. And I featured it on the site in case any of you wanted to purchase it as well. As far as I know, none of you did, but, that's that. And I also have this. I had commissioned a guy... name is slipping from me, but I commissioned him when I went to one of the furry conventions. He was mentioning that he was doing commissions, and I was like, "How much?" And it was a really low number. It was like $20 for a full color picture. And I was like, "I want 3." So I said I want 2. He actually gave me 3 because he wanted to, I guess. But I told him I wanted Krystal from both Star Fox Adventures and Star Fox Assault in various action poses. I said, you can do whatever action pose you want, but she needs to be in an action pose looking awesome. And he posted the digital versions out there, and I've seen them before, and you have too. I posted on the site. But these are the original sketches. The original line art that he used before he digitally inked them. There's her Assault. She's so dynamic, I'm not sure if the picture is supposed to be angled like this or like this. I don't know, but I think it's like this. There's that, And then this is the one from Adventures where she's taking on a Sharp Claw with Tricky nearby. And you can see the digital copy of those in there. On Fur Affinity somewhere. I linked to them. Alright, the next bit is, well, I got some personal things. And this is, actually, I had this long before I had the site. This is my original Star Fox 64 Player's Guide, the original one that I bought when I bought the game. And it's pretty beat up, but it's got the whole thing, including the poster. The R-Wing Landmaster poster here, which is one of my favorite features. We've got, this is a very recent edition. I never actually purchased this at the time, but this is the English version of Star Fox Adventures Player's Guide. And as you can see, it's got some boxing on the edges. I bought this used on eBay. I never had actually purchased it myself. Oh, the guy even included the original receipt from when he had bought it. So that's interesting. But it's even got that huge picture in the front that we've seen a couple times. Not very high resolution, but it's nice. I didn't do that one. I did, however, I did buy this when I bought the game. I bought the Star Fox Assault Player's Guide when I bought the game. Now, the poster is not in here. That's one of the two posters that I bought. I should buy another one of these things so I can get the poster, another poster. It looks like they actually had a Star Fox shirt available for purchase when you renewed your Nintendo Power subscription. Let's see here. Now this is fairly recent. When I was at Further Confusion 2013, I think, and I met Ayano for the first time, Ken Singshow was selling these, and these are it's a very small art book. Japanese art book. Actually, read it other way because it's Japanese, but it's a small art book with just Star Fox characters in it, just a lot of Star Fox characters. And so I actually recognize some of these Japanese artists, but here's one with Krystal in it, there, the black and white style. There's the Star Fox team going to the beach. Oh, and this is kind of a saucy image. Nothing revealed, just kind of saucy. I'm going to actually not show that one. Let's see here. And the rest is just Fox McCloud. So, and this dynamic combination of Fox and Wolf in the same page. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so there's Star Fox and Wolf. Fox and Wolf. Let's see here. What else do we have? A couple of Nintendo powers that featured Star Fox. Nothing special though. And that is all of my Star Fox specific stuff. I got that. That's my Star Fox / furry stuff in that box. So that's pretty much all the Krystal stuff I've got. So let's do that quick search for content. Let's see here what we got. This business is killing me. Frame picture. Oh, you're jealous of... Well, you could have bought it back in the day. You could have bought that picture. Let's see. You know, actually, there's one other thing I have. Let me go get it. I just got it in the mail like 3 days ago. So, some of you may or may not remember, but on two occasions after I had interviewed Alesia Glidewell, the voice actress for Krystal in Assault and Smash Brothers, that another guy who often goes by Nestor decided to interview her as well, and he did it on camera, which is something I should have done, but I didn't think about it at the time. Anyway, we also had a contest to see who could create the best question to ask Ayano. And the question I thought was the best actually did win. Ayano picked that one as the best question. And so that person got a signed autograph from her. And I don't think I have permission to post that picture, but I do have the picture. And if he's watching, if you want me to post that picture, I'll be happy to post that picture. But Nestor was kind enough, and Alesia was kind enough, to actually send me my own signed copy, which I didn't ask for or expect at all. But they were kind enough to do it. And so this arrived just the other day. It's got my real name on it, so tread lightly. But anyway, this is the thing with the signature. As you can see, it says Alesia Glidewell right up there. Right there. Well, I'm not doing it right. Alesia Glidewell. The video is backwards for me. It's like looking in a mirror, so I can't tell if it's right or not. Anyway. So yeah, I've got a signed copy from Alesia. That's pretty cool. And, oh, I actually do have one other thing, and that is another framed crystal. This is also by Morningstar. She made this for me specifically because I helped her out with that other thing, with this one. I helped her out with this picture by posting it on the site, and she just made this postcard size one just for me, just to say thanks. So I've got actually 2 framed crystal pictures. I forgot about where this one was, but it was in the other side of the box. That's mine. Yep, and that is really it. Now I do have the posters, and I have that that emergency kit, but those things are not as easily accessible. They're deep in my closet underneath a bunch of other boxes, protected of course, but I'd have to move a bunch of stuff to get it. So we'll have to save those for next time. So let me check in and see what the questions are. Let's see here. Okay, John92 asks, so what play style would you prefer on the new Star Fox game? Star Fox 64, Adventures, or Assault? I think it should be Assault just because of all the variation. Now, I've talked about this before. I think that Star Fox should focus on its strengths, and its strengths have always been rail-based space shooter. And when they did Assault, they did an okay job with the flight, and they did an okay job with the third-person shooter. They didn't do a great job with either one, and that's my point. When they're focusing on multiple tasks, they can't be any good. It can't be very good with one. You're gonna degrade the quality of one for the sake of the other, and that's why the R-wing sequences in Star Fox Adventures are basically useless. Almost not even like. They don't even feel like a Star Fox game. I mean, it's on rails, but the controls are weird. The enemies are weird. You have no accuracy with the laser shots. It's just very strange. It doesn't really feel quite as tight as Star Fox 64. Now, I personally prefer the way they do Star Fox 64, and I think that the whole all-range mode combined with some on-rails would be the best bet, but we already know that Miyamoto is going to do some different stuff. He's going to have a helicopter, most likely. He might have mechs. He might have other things we haven't thought of. A new tank, a new kind of tank, maybe even on foot. And I hope that they focus on it in such a way that it doesn't become detrimental. Because even in Star Fox 64, where you could fly the R-Wing or be in the tank, at least the tank kind of played like the R-Wing. They certainly didn't dumb down the R-Wing so they could focus on the Landmaster. The Landmaster pretty much had the same controls and played the same way as an R-Wing, except it was sitting on the ground and was much slower. Other than that, the controls were identical. Whereas the controls are completely different depending on whether you're on foot in Assault versus if you're flying the R-Wing. So, yeah, I prefer Star Fox 64. And some variations on that to make it nicer. I've talked in the past about if I were to make a Star Fox game, one of the things I would do is I would have missions where you could accomplish the mission in multiple different ways, kind of like the branching paths in Star Fox 64. And then your teammates would actually be a team. You could, at certain points in the stage, command them to go and take out that enemy or flank you, and or cover your rear so no one's attacking you while you're doing your attack run on the Death Star or whatever. Or you could tell them to fan out, or maybe you could get your teammates to fly close to you and then break off so that all the enemies follow them instead of you. There's all kinds of things they could do with that. But having teammates that are not just there for you to save them. I mean, I'm sure you'll be able to save them at some point because that's just what a Star Fox game is like. But I'm just saying, like, have them be useful in addition for additional things beyond that. Let's see here. And you know what? That's where I'm going to end it. There's no incoming questions that I can see. No new discussion topics, and we've been talking for about an hour and 45 minutes. I think that's plenty. And you've heard me ramble on and jump out of frame to go get stuff. So I hope you don't mind this kind of technically glitchy first trial. This is a good trial run for future endeavors and the panel coming in February. Don't miss it. So I hope I'm going to try and do more of these things, and with much more media control, so we can have the pictures in the background and nice. We can have video overlays and stuff like that. So until then, I'm Mr. Krystal. You've been listening to the Krystal Archive Podcast, episode number 34. I hope you've enjoyed. As always, send all of your questions and comments to mrkrystal@gmail.com. And with that, I bid you adieu for the evening. Have a great rest of the week, rest of the month. If I don't see you again, have a great Christmas. Spend it with your family and enjoy the tidings of the season. And I'm out. Later, guys.